What are you watching?
What are you watching? Elodie, le film!
The GrandView Hotel and Convention Center, Buenos Aires. A place that promised the world, but delivered only disappointment and despair. As I sit here, surrounded by the echoes of my shattered expectations, I am reminded of the wise words of my grandmother, who always said, "Our hotel is only as good as its service, and its service is only as good as its heart." As I arrived at this supposed haven, exhausted from a 15-hour international flight, I was greeted by the pitiless gaze of Shamila and Manuel, the front desk trainees who seemed more interested in their own reflections than in providing a warm welcome to a weary traveler. My young son, bless his innocent soul, was sick and needed a quick check-in, but these unfeeling automatons refused to expedite the process, instead forcing us to endure an agonizing wait that seemed to stretch on forever. And when I dared to ask them to hurry up, they refused, their manner as cold as the Argentine winter wind. They didn't care that my son was exhausted, that I was desperate for a respite from the travel gods. No, all they cared about was their own ineptitude, their own lack of training, their own pathetic excuses for not doing their job. But, of course, that was only the beginning. Oh, how I wish I could say it was the worst of it, but alas, dear reader, the GrandView Hotel and Convention Center had so much more to offer in the way of disappointment and disillusionment. The rooms, touted as spacious and comfortable, were instead a dump, a laughingstock of a hotel room. The view? Abysmal. The internet? Non-existent. The noise from the streets and the wind? Deafening. And don't even get me started on the so-called cleaning service, which seemed to consist of a cursory glance at the floors and a half-hearted attempt at tidying up the towels. But what about the water, you ask? Ah, the water. A precious commodity in this arid land, and yet, the GrandView Hotel and Convention Center saw fit to ration it, to dispense it only in miserly amounts, as if it were a luxury reserved for the select few. And when I dared to complain, they had the temerity to tell me to wait 20 minutes, to just wait and see if the hot water would magically materialize. And then, of course, there was the small matter of the elevator, that most basic of human necessities. But no, not at the GrandView Hotel and Convention Center. Oh no. Here, the elevators were as reliable as a politician's promise, prone to malfunctioning at the most inopportune moments, leaving my husband trapped in the dark for an hour, with no backup power to sound the alarms. But what about the staff, you ask? Ah, the staff. A collection of untrained, uncaring, and unapologetic individuals who seemed to take a perverse pleasure in making our lives more difficult. When my husband was stuck in the elevator, they seemed unmoved, unbothered, and unapologetic. When I asked to speak to a manager, they refused, instead offering me a reception email address, as if that were some kind of consolation prize. And then, of course, there was the final insult, the coup de grace, the clincher. The hotel's policy of charging foreign tourists an additional 21% VAT, solely because my guest was Argentinian. A policy that was neither explained nor mentioned beforehand, a policy that felt deliberately misleading and opportunistic. So here I sit, dear reader, surrounded by the wreckage of my hopes and dreams, wondering how a hotel could be so callous, so cruel, so completely and utterly devoid of a heart. The GrandView Hotel and Convention Center, Buenos Aires. A place that promised the world, but delivered only disappointment and despair. What do you think, dear reader? Have you ever had a similar experience? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let us stand together against these heartless establishments, and demand better. Demand justice. Demand a heart. Oh my God, you know, I'm looking into crimes near GrandView Hotel and Convention Center, Buenos Aires, and it's so crazy, you know? Businesses near GrandView Hotel and Convention Center, Buenos Aires are totally not what they seem, you know? They're like wolves in sheep's clothing, waiting to pounce on unsuspecting tourists like you. Take this one incident, you know? A man and a woman posed as arbolitos, that's informal currency exchangers, you know? And arranged a meeting with two men at an apartment in Palermo, which is super close to GrandView Hotel and Convention Center, Buenos Aires. They were supposed to exchange dollars, but once they got inside, the pair pretended to be employees of a currency exchange, and then, they stole over $20,000 from the victims. Can you even believe it? I mean, I predict the victims were totally devastated, you know? They probably felt so stupid for falling for it, and they're probably still trying to process how they got ripped off so badly. And the thieves, they probably just walked away with the cash, laughing all the way to the bank, you know? It's just so wrong, you know? And then, there's this other incident, you know? A Russian guy, Ilya Boyarintsev, got arrested in Palermo, which is like, right near GrandView Hotel and Convention Center, Buenos Aires, for a massive fraud against a naval construction company in Russia. He was like, taking out loans in someone else's name and stealing the money meant for equipment purchases. Can you even? I predict he was living large, you know? He was probably enjoying the high life, thinking he got away with it, but like, the authorities finally caught up with him, and now, he's facing the music. And like, the people he scammed, they're probably still trying to recover from the financial damage, you know? It's just so messed up, you know? Colon, the grim reality of businesses near GrandView Hotel and Convention Center, Buenos Aires. If you're staying at the GrandView Hotel and Convention Center, prepare yourself, because the businesses around here operate like a masterclass in disappointment. Tourists wander in with hope, while it's open, only to leave lighter, frustrated, and sometimes scammed. The pattern is clear: overpriced mediocrity, chaotic service, and an attitude that suggests they'd rather you not be there at all. Let's start with the shopping. Galerías Pacifico is supposed to be a luxury mall, but it's more like a glorified tourist trap. The website is a labyrinth of outdated information, opening hours are a mystery, and the stores? Mostly global chains you can find anywhere. One visitor described it as expensive even with a tourist discount, while another called the tax refund process a myth. The food court is no better: card double charges, bland meals, and a noise level that makes you wonder if they've ever heard of rubber chair pads. Then there's Mio Buenos Aires, a hotel that treats service animals like contraband and guests like inconveniences. Couples booking suites are told conflicting stories: one minute they can stay, the next they're being booted out because someone else paid more. The receptionists argue instead of apologizing, and taxis arranged by the hotel? 4 times the normal price. It's the kind of place where you check in excited and leave wondering if you accidentally checked into a scam. Hungry? Sarkis, an Armenian restaurant, should be a delight, but it's a lesson in patience and disappointment. The food arrives cold, if it arrives at all. One diner waited 2 hours for a single plate of moussaka and a bottle of water. The falafel comes drenched in a bizarre peanut butter-like sauce, and the owner? He'd rather argue with customers than fix anything. If you're craving Middle Eastern food, you're better off making it yourself. Coffee lovers, avoid Birkin unless you enjoy arrogance with your espresso. The staff treats customers like they're interrupting their day. One woman was told her latte was supposed to be barely warm and that next time, she should request it hot in advance. The soundproofing is non-existent, so you'll hear every conversation around you, whether you want to or not. Oh, and don't even try using an Argentine credit card. They'll take foreign ones, but locals? Apparently, they don't deserve caffeine. Nightlife? Club Bahrain is where dreams of a fun night go to die. Entry fees are outrageous, water costs $150, and security treats guests like criminals. The owner has a reputation for violence. DJs, organizers, even customers have been on the receiving end of his temper. The place is overcrowded, poorly ventilated, and if you bring a photocopy of your ID instead of the real thing? Enjoy standing outside. Fine dining isn't safe either. Casa Cavia serves beautiful plates with missing ingredients, incorrect orders, and waitstaff who disappear for hours. One couple waited so long for their food, they assumed the kitchen had closed. Another was told half the menu was unavailable, at a high-end restaurant. You'll pay luxury prices for the privilege of being ignored. And finally, Florio Atlantico, a bar that treats cocktails like an afterthought. Drinks take an hour to arrive, if they arrive at all. Bartenders shrug and say they only know how to make 3 drinks, while patrons awkwardly hover behind strangers, trying to find space at the bar. One guest described their cocktail as tasteless, with egg white foam resembling bathroom bubbles. At $22 for an espresso martini made with cheap rum, you're better off drinking at home. So what's the verdict? The businesses near GrandView Hotel and Convention Center are a minefield of overcharging, incompetence, and outright scams. Whether it's shopping, dining, or nightlife, expect frustration at every turn. If you must stay here, bring patience, cash, and low expectations, because perfection is clearly too much to ask.